Good day, brother and sister, spiritual patriots. Thank you for coming for another episode of the Patriot and Lama Show. Actually, episode 62. I think we're at 62. So 6 plus 2 is 8. Pretty powerful. This episode is the battle for food. And we're going to show you there is a battle going on. And it's not only with what's going into the food supply, but it also is to shut the food supply down. And we're going to show you some things today. Again, more in depth is coming into the latest of the Lamasery, as you can see above our favorite Lama, Brother Rasaji's head there. And that's at Circle of Life at Rasaji.com. And the free membership, you can get access to that video where we, everything we can say, he can say everything there. There's nothing, held back. It's straight out. But we also have to be careful here on Facebook and YouTube because we want to fish and bring people in from a bigger pond, like we've talked about many times before. Make sure that you share this video. This is very, very important. What we're going to say to you today and what the Lamasery is telling Master Lama Rasaji to put out there for the people. There's 3 phases happening, and he's getting more into that in the latest of the Lamasery. We're in the first phase, and each phase is going to intensify. So you need to be prepared. You need to do the things that we're going to talk about today, and we're going to show you just by one website. I'm going to show you the attack on the food process, or the food production situation. It's going to blow your mind. And if any time there ever was in the history of our planet for you to become more self-sufficient, there's not a better time than right now. Okay. So one of the things we talk about, are we headed into an Armageddon in relation to the food supply? Well, it's looking that way, isn't it? Okay. The next question then, are you and your family prepared for it? Are you or are you not? I know a lot of the members at COL, Brother Rasaji was talking about, our favorite Lama was talking to me about it today, that we have a lot of people growing gardens and on their balconies, in their house. They're growing their fruits, they're growing their vegetables, they're taking action, they're storing water, not only drinking water, but water to flush the toilets. They've got filtration systems in place to filter creek water, pond water, whatever you have to do, right? They're preparing. They're not stressing over it. They're preparing. So Brother Rasaji's having a little problem with his audio, so I'm going to bring him through my favorite cell phone over here to see how our brother's doing today. How you doing, Brother Rasaji?
Well, I'm doing fine, Patriot Jimmie. Good to be with you, and exciting what's happening around the world. And again, just another good example of people seeing the glass half full and the half empty. As you know, this is not the first time the Lamasery has seen the dark side try to get rid of the children of life, but we know what their intentions are and what they're up to. And of course, if they tune in to Monday's latest from Lamasery 19th update, they'll be real excited to hear the skinny on what's happening. So always great to be with you. We don't let any challenge keep us from getting the word out, brother.
Well, first I want to do, did everybody hear what our favorite Lama said? Are you hearing him okay? Because I've got these ear bud things in here, and I'm hearing him, but is it good? I can hear him well, good. So maybe I take one of these out. There we go. So I can hear him good too. And I got the other one in. Yeah, this is a very important subject. And again, we've been talking about this, you and I, and also, the Sage of the South, Brother Joseph Land, for quite a while. And, one of the things growing up in my household, my grandmother Thompson, which was my mother's mom, she was Sicilian. And she would always be cooking, and she would always be canning. And my grandfather, down in our basement, in their house in the basement, they had a room that was just all canned goods. And I know this is disappearing a little bit. All canned goods. And they were pickling everything. They were canning everything. It's like our whole society has moved out of food storage. Our whole society has moved out of preparation. as important it is to have, your savings and some, precious metals and, some cash and, all of that. It's more important to have your inventory of water that you can only go X amount of days without, and your food that you can only go X amount of days without. I mean, water is the quickest, and then the food's the next. And we're going to show you some things today. There's clearly an attack on the food production, but we also have all sat by, idly by. We've sat by, idly by, and allowed a very few amount of people to control our food supply. And they've depleted the soil. Most of the food that we get doesn't have the nutrition. Even when they call things organic here in the United States, it really doesn't seem that way. I mean, my wife went to Dominican Republic last year in I think November, and she has issues sometimes with her stomach. And I think it's the food. I mean, the food's so processed here in the United States, and even when they say organic, it isn't like organic over in the Dominican Republic when you're getting it fresh from the farmer or you're getting it grown off the tree, right? And her stomach didn't hurt her at all. But besides the fact that all of these different things that are going into our foods into this country, and if you look at a picture, I was trying to find it of people on the beach in the 1970s versus people on the beach in right now. There's a big difference between the people that are overweight versus now than were before, and it has a lot to do with the food supply. But now, even at that, I got to show this map first, brother Rasaji, because I want people to be aware to stay on this, this episode until the end, and then they can ask their questions. And again, share. We'll keep it to where you won't get in trouble. I promise you. Anything that you want to go in deeper, you just go over again to Rasaji.com, latest of the Lama series, and he will give you the inside information. I promise you that. Okay. So, lady, you can see it down at your screen. Latest from the Lama series at Rasaji.com. Okay. And also get involved at mypatriotsnetwork.com. We're getting ready to launch the version 2 of the site. Got the forum, the community. It's all about taking action. We just launched this new forum. So we're working together as groups. We're also going to be bringing together communities around this country and around the world to start putting together community gardens. Community gardens. You got to get to know your neighbors and stuff. But let me show you something, which is very, very important to see this. And this actually came into my Facebook feed. Sure, I have it. Yep. Pull it up. Yeah. I've got to pull this up first, and then let me know, brother Rasaji, if you can see it. I got you on speaker.
Yeah, I can see everything, Jimmie. It's good.
And you can hear me okay?
You're loud and clear.
Okay. So this came by my Facebook today. I seen it here. This is Gil Brazald. I'm friends with him on Facebook, a Facebook friend. But he's mentioning about, you can read this, so I don't have to read it out loud, but read what he says. Read that there, okay? And then go to this map and take a look at all of these things that have been happening around the country. Arson. I mean, you just go through this thing. Plane crashed into it. Fire. General Mills. I mean, folks, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that we are in the battle for food. And if you do not plan, and again, I mean, you go to this link here, and you know what I'm.
Hey, Jimmie, let me mention this. Notice that that's the highest densely populated part of the country where the target.
Right, there's the most people. I mean, even look in California, they're doing it here, Las Vegas, they're really hammering it, right? They're really hammering it. And these are not coincidence, folks. These are not 60,000 acres destroyed. Largest ranch in the USA, King Cattle Ranch, right here in Texas. Okay. This is not a coincidence. And we'll get this link. I don't want to post it because this could be a problem. Now I know they didn't do a problem with this dude, right? They didn't do a problem with this dude. Um, but you can see here on this map. I'll figure out a way to get this to you folks. But you're seeing, let me unshare. You're seeing what they're doing. Okay. I'll send it to my son Tommy. I'll put it in Tommy. I'll put it into your. Let me go ahead and do that real quick. I'm going to put it into my text to you, son, and then you can share it. But this is a problem, and again, if you've heard the Patriot and the Lama in the past, we're very optimistic. We know what the at the end of the as we go through darkness, the dark gets darker, the light gets lighter, and we know where this is headed. We know where this is headed. Okay, but we've also told you that you got to be in the best spiritual shape of your life. Get yourself in your best physical shape of your life, and really build a relationship with the Creator like you've never done before. Because there are things going on that we all got to work together and get through together. Okay. Can you hear me now? Am I okay? I'm loud and clear. Okay. All right, cool. So, over the next few years, you're going to see a great division of America. And Brother Rasaji is going to talk more about this and talk to you about what the Lama series talking about the whole foods situation. And again, we're all about making sure you folks are prepared. We want you to be prepared. You don't need to dwell on it. You don't need to stress over it. You need to take action and you need to become more self-sufficient in all areas of your life. And the food and the water are like, they're right there at the foundational level. Okay. Because without water, you don't make it too long. And then, food is next. Without food, you don't make it too long. But also, do you have an inventory of your vitamins, your supplementation, your herbal supplements, all of that? If you are on some kind of pharmaceutical drug, do you have, a backup? Do you have a supply of that? Talk to your doctor because of these shortages stuff. Just make sure that you put a plan in place and get the inventory that you need so that you can be prepared. Brother Rasaji, can you kind of fill people in on what you're feeling? I'm going to move the mic down to the phone. What you're feeling about all this, what the Lama series telling you, and give the people the skinny there.
Yeah, thanks, Jimmie. It's been moving toward this way for a while, and of course, 3,000 years, we've seen several waves of this, and there's always been times where the dark side would attack the food supply. And it goes all the way back to biblical times, actually, that it's happened. It's been famine. Sometimes it was natural disaster. A lot of times people's hands were in it. There's a group of people. I'm not even going to mention it. They can get the skinny on that on Monday. But there's a group of people that would really like to take about 500,000 to 1 billion people off the planet. And they're working hard to position themselves to do that. As far as North America is concerned, they don't call them the United States by accident. So what's happening is we're going to see about 30 of the 50 states where the constitutional law civilly is very enforced. We're going to see the First and Second Amendment in both of those states very supportive between the governors of the state and the sheriffs of the county. This is why, Jimmie, we're going to be putting a COL trained instructor and healer in every one of the counties in North America, and then Canada, then Mexico, and then the rest of the world for everybody that's interested. And we're so excited about where we're going with that. But on Monday, I'll get down to particulars, nuts and bolts. I don't have to hold back names. But a lot of people that have created some of the computer companies are using those funds for mischief. Whereas what we're doing, we're creating solutions, memberships, online stores where we're channeling a lot of that revenue into building a foundation of light, L-I-G-H-T, and life, L-I-F-E. And so we're as pro-life beyond anything that you've ever seen before. We will protect life at all costs. The Lama Series will be willing to die to protect life at all costs. We've been doing that through the ages. We believe that the unborn should be protected. We believe that grandma and grandpa should be protected. We honor and respect all forms of life, but especially human life. And I mean human life that actually has a soul inside the body, because there are kind of humans today that are on the earth that do not have that, and that explains a lot about the mischief that's going on right now. But we've been telling people, Jimmie, I mean, the moment that we launched Mastermind webinars months ago with the Sage of the South, Joseph Lynn, we were telling people to get their houses in order. Well, I'm going to tell you, phase one of what's coming is already implemented from the light side and from the dark side. Phase two is about 3 to 6 months away. And I got to tell you, when phase two hits, you better be doing what we're suggesting that you do in phase one. Back to you, brother.
Yeah, and I did adjust the mic a little bit. I'm going to make sure I'm not too loud. Let me know if I'm okay, but I have it now set so you can hear the Lama better. Can you hear him better? And we're going to make sure we get his computer sorted out, even if we have to wipe it out and reinstall it. We're going to make sure that's happened. I might have to just give him Jimmie Jr., my little computer genius son of 25 years young, and let him do the wizardry on the Lama's computer. His computer skills. He actually handles all my computers, by the way, and he does a real good job on it. Yeah, it's really important, folks, that you do get prepared. And again, back in, when I was growing up with my grandmother, both grandmothers, they had food storage. They had water storage. They were prepared. Not only did they have that, they had other things too, cleaning supplies, whatever they needed, baby wipes, flushables, whatever you need to do. Once you've got yourself prepared, then you feel more secure about it, right? It's like right now, I'll give you an example. We live here in Austin, and we live, around Lake Travis, and, there's a lot of people in this area, and we're actually looking before we even build, because now the real estate market it's going down right now. So I'm going to wait until it completely crashes to the bottom and bottoms out before I build, where we purchased the land on that old, not Comanche, right? Comanche reservation. Well, Comanche were living there. They were praying there. They were doing that. I'm too loud now. Okay, let me go down. How about now? And you know what? Am I okay? And turn your mic down, because I know you might have turned up your volume for Brother Rasaji and turned it down for me. Let me know if I'm okay now. I moved it away because I had to turn it way up in order to make sure you can hear him, okay? So you got to be aware of where we're currently at. I just showed you the website, and I gave it to my son, and he's got the link now, that there's been over 600 food processing, cattle, or it's something to do with our food supply, arson and planes crashing into them. And I mean, this is not a coincidence, folks. This is a strategic plan. And again, the Lama Series has been around a long time, over 3,000 years, and they've watched the same process repeated out over and over again. He who controls the food supply and the water supply control the population. This just-in-time everything system that we put in place is, again, a system built on sand. Built on sand. Not built on a solid foundation of bedrock. concrete rebarb. I mean, something that you would build a skyscraper on so that it doesn't fall. You're going hundreds and hundreds of feet into the ground. You're putting bed into bedrock, and you're putting rebarb and concrete and steel in there, and you're building a solid foundation. I mean, everything we got in this world is built on like quicksand, and it's owned by a few hundred people that are in all. You go to these corporations and you look, it's the same people that own the majority of these corporations over and over again. And what Brother Rasaji just said is that they want to eliminate a nice portion of the population. And we even see what happened a few weeks ago, and we talked about that on our episode. I think it was episode 60 on CERN, how they took the Georgia Guidestones down, which on the Georgia Guidestone, it was talking about 500 million people. So imagine, the entrepreneur side of myself, and forgive me for saying this, is like, okay, should I invest in crematoriums? Between what's happened over the last 2 years and what's going on with the food supply, and knowing that most people will not be prepared, that most people will not heed the warning of the watchman in the tower, and they will let their family get into destitute, that might be a good investment. Now, I'm serious and I'm not serious at the same time about it, because think about the amount of people. If they were to reduce the population down to 500 million people, 500 million people, that means 7.5 billion people have to go bye-bye. And they're going to use every which way possible to do that. Now, are you going to get rid of 7.5 billion people overnight? No. It's not going to happen overnight. I mean, if last week's episode 61, World War III, we know that they're trying to provoke that. Okay. Now that could be a case where you could eliminate a lot of people very, very fast. We personally, Brother Rasaji and myself, and what we have with our discernment and our relationship with the Creator, we don't believe that's going to happen. Okay. We believe that will be diverted. We believe that the divine will jump in, and that's not, and probably already you got angels interfering with that. You got a lot of the light beings, the beings of righteousness interfering with that. But the other way is just start doing what they've been doing for decades. I mean, our food supply, I wish I had this picture, but you look at these people on the beach in the 1970s, there is not a person overweight there. Now you take it to now, and we got people more overweight than they've ever been in the history of this world, because the foods are contaminated. And now you look at what they're doing. I mean, like we have here in Texas, Brother Rasaji, we have HEB. And it's one of the largest, I think in the top 10 privately held companies in the United States. And they do a lot of local sourcing for food. But now what's going on with Texas? There's been no rain. They're drying us up. We got 106-degree temperatures going on. We got 105, 107. I mean, and the rain. So there's a lot of things going on simultaneously with the weather, with these 600 plus destruction of plants and processing and outlets that are very essential into our food supply. And then what did Brother Rasaji say? Well, look at where they're at. They're in all the population centers. And that's what they want to do. They want to destroy these things to starve as many people into compliance. A hungry person will do a lot. Don't be that hungry person. Brother Rasaji, I know that you've got a lot of insight from the Lamasery. You want to keep on going with what you were talking about, because we do want these people to prepare. We need them to prepare. We need them to protect themselves and protect their families and do all of that. Do I still have you on the phone?
Yeah, you still have it. Can you hear me, Jimmie, okay?
Yeah, I can hear you good. I'm going to just put my speaker down. Can everybody hear Brother Rasaji? our favorite Lama here. Go ahead, brother.
Good. Yeah, you sometime during the webinar today, you might want to put that My Patriot Supply, your link in there, so they can check that out. This is a company that really believes a lot in the principles that we are doing at My Patriot Network, and they've got some good sources for you to obtain. They're very reasonable. They've got food supply that can last up to 20 to 25 years. And so it's not a bad idea. They've got some really good sales going on right now that you make sure that you have backup for your family. Like Jimmie said, fill the water in your tub, get a couple extra cases of water. Just do the basic necessities. When they try to shut things down, you got to know that there's equal as much, if not more power on the other side to get things up. I want you to think about the state of Florida, and I want you to think for a minute the FEMA mindset. So think about FEMA and what FEMA actually does. And most of you know, in the area of a hurricane in Texas or Florida or a tornado in Tennessee, when there's damage, they come in and they set things up. So I want you to kind of understand that in this next phase, that'll probably start in about 6 months, and if this next phase will last longer, it'll take about 18 to 36 months. You're going to see more natural things begin to happen. So you're going to want to be in that position anyhow, even if they're not up to their shenanigans, because then you're going to have natural things happening. The other thing I want you to think about, so if you think you need generators, go and get generators, right? And you need to be aware that we're used to 1 or 2 things happening and then months or years in between before another wave. That's not going to be happening. You're going to see tornadoes, hurricanes, tsunamis happening simultaneously. And they're going to see them happening within hours to days apart. And that's going to run FEMA. It's going to exhaust their labor. It's going to exhaust their funding. But you need to know that there's so many patriots like you guys around the world that'll roll up their sleeve, and you'll really see the best of people when stuff like this happens. Because a lot of people will be trying to get the grids up as fast as they can. You could be looking at times where all of a sudden you can't get water for a week or 2. So think about that. You might see some times where the food lines get really short for about 3 or 4 weeks at a time. So be thinking about that. Those are necessities. So we've been talking about this stuff at COL, Patriot and Lama Show, Mastermind for over 9 months now. We've been letting you guys know that this is going on. We know their games they play. They're always using the same playbook. It's kind of funny. It's like there's not really a creative source in there. The difference is now that when they start contaminating things because of computers, and because of aircraft, because of tankers and pipelines and things of this nature, and everything so centralized, they can affect larger groups of people in a shorter period of time. Then what you want to do is a lot of you're doing is really start to focus the rest of your time on getting ahead financially, creating a new business, learning affiliate marketing, maybe a good network marketing company. You want to focus on your health. And here's the key. I mean, the average Westerner, including Western Europe, would be included in this, is probably eating anywhere from 2 to 3 times what they really need anyhow in volume of food, right? So the average person needs to be eating about 1/3 to 1/2 of what they actually are, but they need to increase the nutritional value and lower the calorie value. But most important, and Jimmie touched on this lightly earlier, is the first thing you want to learn to do is eat is about preservative free as you possibly can. Because one of the reasons people are retaining weight is things like MSG, monosodium glutamate, and stuff that people retain fluid, retain water. You want to get that stuff out of your diet. I mean, you can't believe how much better you'll feel if you start eating preservative free. That's the first. Your energy level will go up. Your metabolism will go up. With that and doing our 45-day challenge that we offer for free at COL, oh my gosh, you'll go immediately into transformation just doing that. Then over a period of time, as you learn to access nutrition, not only physically in the DNA, but psychically through your energy body and spiritually through your soul, you start to become more balanced and the need for solid food gets less and less. So you'll start to see your animal protein levels go down. You'll definitely see saturated fats going down. You'll start to eat good fat. You'll start to eat good protein. Some of that protein will come from animals. A lot of that protein will come from like peanut butter, nuts and seeds, lentils and beans and rice, which make full compound carbohydrates that the body can access, which is also good for cleaning the colon, which is where most of your autoimmune cells rebuild. So I'm going to throw this back to you, brother.
Yeah, one of the things we were talking about is all of the, as I've been doing the Tai Chi Gong at the Circle of Life at Rasaji.com, it's been 17 months now. And the first 2 months was the breathing. And then since then it's been not on top only the breathing, but it's also been not only the breathing, but it's also been the exercises. And I've seen my appetite go down, and I've seen my food choices being more quality oriented based on just doing the program, which is phenomenal. I mean, it really is a fantastic thing when you can do something, and the side effect of it is that you're eating better, you're eating less, and you're feeling more energy and all of that. I think that's really important part that everybody, gets moving on that, okay? On top of the food storage, on top of the self-sufficiency, I don't care if you got to grow potatoes in a 5-gallon bucket. You better start hitting these YouTube videos and learning how to be more and more self-sufficient when it comes to, your own food and water. These people, unfortunately, they don't think like us. The people that have Abba's DNA in them, God's DNA, most of us are good people. Most of us love each other. We don't want to see harm to each other. But these folks that don't, they're pure. They live off the suffering of people. They get energized off the suffering of people. So they want to suffer. Now, I seen a comment in here where somebody said that some of these destructions of these facilities they could be because they're producing bad food. That might be some of the cases. I don't think that's all of the cases, but a combination of both things simultaneously is not a good thing to do. We need to transition into a new system. We need to transition into a new system. I'm going to repeat that one more time. We got to transition smartly into a new system in order not to hurt people, right? You can't just destroy everything and then nobody has anything and everybody's got no water coming in. The bottom line is you got to take some control of your own food production, at least vegetables. I've looked at some things. I was watching a guy, Brother Rasaji, you had talked about as people grow, we call it, I'm 57 years young. I think you just turned 66 years young. And as we continue to, get more years added on to our lives, you were talking about if people don't take care of their, their systems like your colon that, the waste comes out of, or, your skin and even your energy portals, how they get clogged up and everything's not working properly together. The body, the soul, and the spirit is not, running smoothly. All these elimination systems start clogging up for people that aren't maintaining them. So that's another thing that folks need to do. And I know you're a master herbalist, also, besides being a master yoga instructor and one of 12 master lamas at the Tai Chi Gung Lamasery. But what would you suggest for people? Because I think it's a combination of both things: more self-sufficiency, food storage, having the water storage, but also what you were talking about, making sure that they're getting the body into the best shape that they've ever been into.
Well, I would suggest the easiest thing for people to do, Jimmie, is to go to our site and then look at our Wellness Wednesday and Wellness page on our site. One of the things we're doing there, we're working with different sponsors around the world that have a like-mindedness of us. In other words, they believe in creating, non-GMO, organic things. They realize around the world that most of the soil is not what it was in our parents' generation, especially our grandparents' generation. This is why it was not unusual to see a person living off the land, smoking cigarettes, but still living to 90 years old before they finally got cancer, because of the fact they were raised up with produce and they were physically working hard farming, which was manual labor, which made their heart and respiratory work like they're working out all the time. But they were actually eating stuff that was actually grown from the land in enriched soil. The topsoil was rich in trace minerals. So today, what you want to do, we're picking out companies that we know actually grow stuff in the most enriched soil on the planet. I've seen some of the companies, Jimmie, that I've worked with that would actually buy property surrounding the farmland to keep certain things out, keep poachers from poaching the land, number one, but also keep other synthetics out. So we're seeing a conscious level happening that we haven't seen in a long time. And what the Lamasery noticed over 3,000 years, that as a person evolves spiritually, like these beautiful people here, the way they treat their body, they will treat the earth exactly the same way. So as you grow spiritually, and this temple means something to you, and you realize that the Heavenly Father gave you this with the rent, with an option to buy, and the only way he's going to let you take ownership of that is when he knows that you're starting to master it. So when you start to master your spirit, mind, and body, a good example of that is Enoch from the Old Jewish Testament, and then Bodhanathar, who was our first Lama. They have two things really uniquely in common, even though they started out their spiritual training studying two different religions. And that was, they both became priests of righteousness, which means right use of God's law. They were willing to humble themselves to God's way, learn about nature. Because of doing that, he granted them long life. Both of them lived between 350 and 400 years in the physical body. And not only was he happy enough to do that, he took them both into heaven without tasting death. And that was showing us what is the Father's way, based on if you're willing to live a life of righteousness, which in the Lamasery means right use of God's law. So there's great examples. We have had hundreds of Lamas, Jimmie, over the years that have lived well beyond 100 years old. As a matter of fact, we have five active Lamas, 5 retired Lamas that are between the ages of 100 and 120 right now, with our head Lama, 132, this past April himself, still interacting 4 hours a day at the Lamasery at 132 years old.
Wow, that's awesome.
We proved to them. I asked Boyan one day, the head Lama, I said, "Are you excited about your age?" He said, "I thank God every day for being here, but I'm most excited about the duplication." See, we know the fruits of the labor are in place, and the duplication is happening when you know you have over a dozen retired and active llamas that are already centurion. And by the way, that is the fastest growing minority in the world today, is the people living over 100. But you want to live over 100 if you can live a high quality of life and you can financially and resourcefully afford to do so. So what I love about what we're doing at the My Patriots Network and with all the channels there, Jimmie, we have involved, is that we're giving people solution from people who have over 25 to 50 years experience, being a master, an expert, if you would, Jimmie, in their field. And then they're willing to take people by the hand, such as these beautiful people, and then lead them to solutions. I guarantee you, those people are concerned about what's going on in the world, but they're definitely not fearful. Back to you, brother.
Yeah, and again, it comes back to one of the things I had watched this video online of this gentleman, and he's he was talking about how human beings really weren't meant to eat meat, and really even vegetables. It's more about like fruits. And so, it's very interesting that he was talking about that, because, he was comparing, like, a lion, the way their teeth are structured, the animals that eat the flesh, that eat the meat, right? And then he had another thing that was eating meat, and how their teeth were in their jaws and how their stomach was. And then he would go into like the animals that eat the grass and eat the, the stuff, and how their mouth was and how their stomach was. Then he compared us to like the the fruit eating animals, right? And how their teeth was and how their digestive system was. And we're almost identical. I mean, we're identical. So, I think that
really, when it comes down to it, animal protein should be no more than 10 to 15% of the average human staple. And what will naturally happen with people as they do the exercises, partially because digestion will get more and more easier. One of the biggest places, Jimmie, we expel vital energy is our digestive tract.
right.
So this is why when people eat heavy, they want to sleep, because now the oxygen is going to support the digestion as opposed to going to the brain. So you just cut off in a heavy meal 1/3 of the blood flow and oxygen flow to your brain. I mean, there's been truck drivers that stop by Wendy's or stop by McDonald's, and they got a couple Big Macs and a milkshake and stuff, and the next thing you know, they're in a car wreck because they fell asleep because they were just going through normal digestion. Well, normal digestion for improper food, by the way, is not normal. So when we eat our Thanksgiving dinner and we end up putting on our plate 6 to 12 different choices of food, you basically would need 3 different stomachs to break that food down. It would be much better to take 1/3 of that and eat it in the morning, another 1/3 of that and eat it in the afternoon, another 1/3 of that and eat that in the evening. And then it would be more realistic. But what people start to find out, not only the heaviness that we're talking about, but that becomes obviously, it's also the frequency of what you're eating. See, different animals and prepared different ways, even the way you prepare things changes and alters the frequency. You have to understand, here you are, you're this being. You exist in 12 different dimensions, and there's 7 frequency in every dimension. You got to decide over the next couple of years, what dimension do you really want to live on? Because you got to understand, there is human life in 5D, but are you prepared to vibrate the frequency of that? And then you have to ask yourself, what is the nutritional level in 5D? Well, I assure you, it is different than low 3D. So what people do that eat heavy, sometimes unconsciously, we refer to it, Jimmie, as unconscious grounding. But the more you learn to center the vital energy of God in your portals and in your chakras, you now need less need for artificial ways to ground your food. Example, like overeating, heavy food that's full of calories and lacks not only nutrition, lacks the chi itself. See, if I go to a beautiful apple tree or a beautiful orange tree that's been created organically without pesticides, and I go to take that right off and I put that in my mouth, you're not only getting supercharged with all the vitamin C and the other trace minerals you're getting, but the level of chi and vitality that's in that fresh fruit and vegetable is amazing. And we're supposed to create the blood pH so that it's more alkaline. And when your blood pH is more alkaline, do you know you actually starve cancer cells when your bloodstream is pH? See, cancer loves an acidic bloodstream. It's jet fuel to the mutation of a form of cancer, especially the lymph node system. So if you start to shift by drinking a lot of water, a lot of fresh juices, high berry concentrates, grape juice, apple juice, literally you're strangling the mutation of a cancer cell. So this is really powerful, what we're sharing with people. Back to you, brother.
Yeah, someone is asking me about what they would get for your intestinal tract and all of that. I'm going to show you folks something real quick here. And this is a company that, they're doing the right thing, and we believe in them. We actually utilize their products, and we've got people that had IBS and all kinds of stuff that are absolutely wouldn't go to the bathroom for 5 days at a time, are now going regularly every day. Remember, if you're not going to the bathroom, you're not moving the old waste out of your system, right? So you go to Rasaji.com, you click on wellness, you click on Purium, you go here, and they have so many things on their site. But I take this every single day, and so does my wife, and so does Rasaji and family members and people that have IBS and have had issues with that. They are seeing amazing things. Now, I'm taking multiple products. I take their aminos, and I'm taking other products. And I told Rasaji the other day, this company, biodegradable packaging, non-GMO, organic, California standards, which are ridiculous standards. But hey, California trying to bankrupt the nutritional industry, right, with their standards, but this company is within them. So this is where I would recommend you go to Rasaji.com, go to wellness, click on Purium, and start looking through their products. This is perfect for your gut. Rasaji knows a lot more about it. I just know this. It's working for me. It's working for my wife. It's working for other people that we know. And the company's been around over a decade, and they are doing the right thing by the people on the planet. So it's working, right? Again, you got to look at the companies. You got to look at the people that are in, the owners of the companies. What are the companies doing? Not all companies are perfect. I don't think any one company's perfect. But as long as they're moving forward and they're doing, to be better and make it better. I mean, I look at products that actually have an impact. If they don't have an impact on me, I'm not interested in them. But the gut, I'm focusing more and more on my gut because I know that I haven't been for, lately in the last year I have been, but also like, how many times do you take a break and do this? Drink some filtered water. Not only drink water, but to get down into your cells, drink coconut water, organic, non-GMO coconut water. We got to stay hydrated. A lot of the reasons people don't pass, the waste out of their colon is also because they're dehydrated. They don't have enough hydration, and it's like concrete. I mean, if you've ever seen a pipe, you have a sewage pipe in a house, say this big. After 20 years, the pipe's this big, but the hole now is this big. Then after 30 years, the hole's now this big. And the next thing you know, the whole damn pipe's clogged up. Well, guess what happens? That happens to your arteries and that happens to your colon. And when you don't drink enough water, and again, what really hydrates you super, and this is the same guy that was talking about the different animals with the structure of the gut. You heard Brother Lama Rasaji say that you need like 3 different stomachs to process the meals that the average American people are having. I mean, like 3 different stomachs. Can you imagine? Like a cow. But you have to work on. Would our arteries and would our plumbing, our colon go from a circle and then down to this if we were only eating organic fruits, non-GMO fruits?
How regular bypass surgery is in our culture, and you look at how many people have colonoscopy between 40 and 60 and their pipes are already clogged up, there's your answer. And so, the key of it is lack of hydration, lack of movement. Movement is huge. If you're not using your legs, you're already making your colon and kidneys have to overload. Let's look at the vital organs for a minute, Jimmie. So when people have a tendency to get older, it's kind of the chicken and the egg syndrome. You don't know which comes first. You just know there's a connection there somewhere, right? It's the way aging works. When you look at the vital organs, see, if I don't use the muscles in my leg, eventually my heart is going to have to inflame and enlarge to turn into now a pump that works like a plunger that is trying to move the bloodstream that should be pushing up from my legs. Now it's having to suck it up. In order to do that, it inflates and gets larger. Same thing with my kidneys. If I'm not pushing through enough fluids in my kidneys and I'm not walking to move that energy behind the kidneys, all of a sudden the kidneys have to inflate. They'll attach to misplaced calcium. Next thing you know, you either got a blocked valve in your kidney or you're getting ready to pass a kidney stone. So what we have to understand that a good 70% of the body works like plumbing. So your colon system works like plumbing. A lot of your circulatory system works like plumbing. But in the process, there's also endocrine gland stress and there's nervous systems. You can have nervous system blockage. You can have endocrine gland system that's non-functional. So if I have a pituitary gland or adrenaline glands that are non-active, then imagine that those are different software programs in your physical body. And now those applications are no longer functioning and your body's the hard drive. How long before you think your body? So when you're doing Tai Chi Gong, your endocrine gland system, your nervous system, your respiratory system, they get impacted immediately. So you're already starting to feel better and your energy body that surrounds you is already being stimulated. Longer you stay with Tai Chi Gong, and now you start to supplement with good nutrition and begin to back off of poor nutrition. Now all of a sudden your circulatory system is increasing. Your elimination system is eliminating. There's an old ancient Arabic saying we eat ourselves to disease, we digest ourselves to health. It's a very old ancient Arabic saying. Back to you, brother.
Yeah, it's really important too. And I'm looking at also some of these storage food companies. Sheriff Mack's involved in one of them that are organic, right? Because one of the things that we see, again, with the link that we have up there, there's a lot of the prep items. Somebody was talking about, water filter. Well, I do use the Alex Pure water filter also, and I have additional filters. It takes out everything. Okay. And I have additional filters to change that. That thing lasts like for 5,000 gallons or something. I mean, it's pretty amazing. I have it right out here outside my office door. Everything I drink goes through that system, but I also am starting to drink coconut water, organic, non-GMO. And, I filter my air and all of it. One of the other things I wanted to talk about is, beside this just-in-time food system that we have, another thing that is concerning is all of these truck drivers that now are getting sick and now are no longer working. And, at the bottom, bottom line is who brings the food from either the docks or the manufacturing or the food processing place to the stores? It's the truckers, right? So now, we've got that going on where we're having a shortage of truckers to transport the food and the goods. So again, there's no, I mean, you were talking about this is the first phase, right? This is the first phase.
We haven't even come to the end of the first phase. So everything you've seen happen from the stock market to the Forex market, to the equity, to the currency market, everything you've seen, the futures market, you got the oil, you've got corn, soybean, orange juice, all of that. So everything you've seen happen, real estate market, everything you've seen, you've only seen the first phase of that. We've been like kind of the easy hurricane season. Here we are already in the middle of July. Normally, we'd already had 3 or 4 decent storms. But remember, hurricane season peaks at Labor Day. Doesn't peak now. It peaks at Labor Day. We're getting ready between September and December to start to see the second wave. It's very interesting, by the way, that the midterm elections in America are coming up at that time. So that could say a lot about how that turns out. And here's another thing. People have been noticing that the gasoline prices the last 2 to 4 weeks are starting to come down. People question their heads. Well, let me tell you how that is. That's not because the administration is doing anything genius. The administration, when they came in, this new administration in 2020, executive orders were signed with extra taxes that were placed on fuel costs because they were wanting to get rid of fossil fuel. But now they've heard this red wave coming in about 6 different districts. Every one of them have gone red now, and they're getting worried in their boots. So they ran this mock election, which said if the election was today, they would lose 4-1 with everything that they're running against. So they're trying to ease the gas down the only way they know how. So they have retracted one of their major gas taxes, and that's why the pump is temporarily going down. So they're willing to play all kind of shenanigans to try to manipulate the markets. But what I'm telling you, if you understand that the people that get more nervous, a lot of you now have the answer. You got to understand you're going to have the answer. Understand when rapture consciousness gets the highest, transfiguration consciousness is the balance. And some of you know what I'm talking about now. Some of you actually know how to raise your vibration at will now. I mean, literally by throwing a switch. Most people on the earth do not know how to do that. Most of the people on the earth think they have to settle for the things they hear in the retail news media. You guys are the ones that know the difference. You guys are going to be the one that gives everybody an olive branch for those who have ears to hear and who have eyes to see. Make sure you're working on yourself so that you can become the best example for your New Jerusalem. Because the New Jerusalem is basically your tribe. That's your tribe. And they're watching you, your family, your friends, people you don't even think that are watching you are watching you. And remember, action speaks 10 times more than words. That's what Jimmie was saying. People start looking at you. You know, I was on yesterday, you know this, Jimmie. I was on with a webinar with one of the top producers in the whole network marketing industry. And this lady came over to COL 6 months ago, and she's lost almost 60 pounds. Almost 60 pounds. And she said what was really missing in her life was moving in a way, Jimmie, that was conducive to energy. See, most people don't know that the angelic realm set up breathing to breathe in such a way that you would get more energy. And then these prophets that were ministered to by these angels learned how to do that, and they called that system pranayama. Then one day, angels appeared to another saint, and that saint learned how to move in a way that was conducive to energy, and they called that system Tai Chi Gong, and it was created over 3,000 years ago. And when you move and breathe and think in a way that is conducive to energy, now you realize, well, in the Bible, when Jesus is asked about food, he says, I have food to eat that you know not of. Back to you, brother.
Yeah, and one of the things we want to, you know, the Patriot and the Lama, we're all about positivity. We're all about taking responsibility for yourself. This is not about fear porn, right? I mean, the Patriot and the Lama, what we're trying to do here is educate people on what they need to do and to protect yourself and your family, and again, move forward in the greatest wealth transfer from the wicked to the righteous that's ever hit this planet. Okay, it's not to scare you; it's to prepare you. Okay, again, it's not to scare you; it's to prepare you. So be prepared. You know, it's funny. Our brother Joseph, the sage of the South, brother Rasaji. I love when we were talking on the Mastermind webinar, not the last one, but the one before, where you know his thing about owning a house, you know what I mean? Like how he'll go out and he'll buy a house at the lowest end of when the real estate's crashed. He'll live in that house as the real estate climbs and climbs and climbs and climbs. The house is just a structure. The home is the family within the house, right? So he'll wait till the house goes all the way, the real estate market goes all the way to the top where him and his buddies know, oh, it's time to sell. He'll sell the house and he'll go rent and he'll wait for it to go back down again. And then he'll do the same process over. I think he's done it like, what, 4 or 5 times now? Made millions of dollars. Yeah. I mean, well, isn't that what you want to do? Do what everybody else is not.
Let's look at the Oracle of Nebraska, right? The Oracle of Nebraska, right? We know who that is, right? Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is, I think he's in his 80s now, if I'm not mistaken. I know of at least 7 times that he did that in the stock market. And people ask him one day, you like to have cash on hand? He says, oh, cash won't get you much, but opportunity. But boy, you sure sleep well at night with a lot of it. And he says, I got to have cash if I want to have opportunity. And the last time in 07 and 09, people remembers what happened to the stock market and the real estate market, Jimmie. Guess who was sitting cash happy and fat? The Oracle of Nebraska. He waits for the market to go down. 90% of Warren Buffett's wealth, which is somewhere between 125 to 150 billion, by the way, today, comes from 7 to 9 market moves like that, Jimmie, that he would go in, and the average hold time is about 7 years. The average hold time was about 7 years. And he has accumulated his wealth. Every time he had a little bit more cash to buy a little bit more of cheaper stocks than he did the last time, Jim. And that's what he did. He's done the same thing in the stock market that the Sage of the South has done in the real estate market. And by the way, Lama has known the Sage of the South for over 20 years. I've actually seen Joseph do that 2 or 3 times myself. So it's absolutely true. Now, let me tell you what the Lama learned, and this is what I do. I'm no financial planner, even though from 1994 to 2000, I was trained as a financial planner because I wanted to learn that market. And like network marketing, the only way to learn it is you have to buy a distributor kit and kind of jump in. So that's what I did. I got all my license, and then I jumped in that market. And boy, did I get an education in the financial world. But I learned a trick that Sir John Templeton implemented, Jimmie, years ago. And this was a very beautiful spiritual man that actually looked at money. He was one of the first persons on Wall Street to look at money as energy and a spiritual thing, right? So he coined the concept of dollar cost averaging. And he says, you know what? I've been in the stock market for 50 years and I don't care. I still am not smart enough to pick the top or to pick the bottom. But he says, this is what I'm going to do that makes sense to me. I'm going to consistently buy a group of investments on a weekly or a monthly basis. If it goes down in price, I'm going to accumulate more of them. If it goes up in price, now it's worth more. And over the next 5 to 10 years, he will accumulate the same strategy in a different way than Joseph did in real estate and Warren Buffett did in the stock market. So I've been implementing that fits me because it's a moving target and Tai Chi Gung is a moving system. So what I go is every week I buy a certain amount of silver. Every week I buy a mutual fund, Jimmie, that encapsulates the whole stock market. All 5,000-6,000 stocks are in this. I don't know what it's going to do. One thing I do know is right now that fund's down about 45 to 50%. So I'm buying more. And do I think 5 or 10 years from now, it'll have a moment where it hits a high again? Yeah, it will. And if I decide I want to sell, then I'm doing the same thing. So it's not rocket science. It's just consistently being disciplined and learning. And I do the same thing in electronic currency. I buy 5 or 6 electronic currency in a blanket. I buy a mutual fund that encompasses the stock market. I buy silver, and I put a lot of money into savings. And that's what I'm doing. And I know between that, 5 or 10 years from now, plus, Jimmie, you and me both like to buy businesses or create businesses. So when you do that kind of portfolio, you know what, brother? I think you're going to be in pretty good shape 5 or 10 years from now. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big stock guy or a crypto guy. I'm a big build the network, build the list, and perfect the follow-up guy in my own businesses that I'm partners with and involved in. But yeah, I think that, what your strategy is, I'm not a financial advisor, is something that you feel good about. And stocks are going to be at a very low level, and there's going to be bargains there for sure. I heard that, but I know that one thing, cash is king when you're going into, right now you're in an inflationary situation, but believe me, as the economy starts to grind down slower and slower, you're talking about 1.5 negative growth in the first quarter of the year, and they're saying 0 growth in the second quarter, which probably will be revised back to a negative growth number, right? And then what is the truth? They don't ever give us the truth, so it's worse, right? It's not better, it's worse. Unless the number worse is better for them to create the behavior that they want, then usually the number's worse, right? One of the things I was seeing in the comments here, I do have multiple solar generators, okay? And some people might say, well, Jimmie, I can't afford one. Listen, you need to build a tribe. You need to congregate. You need to start having conversations with like-minded people. And how can you folks come together and help each other? You know, how can you come together and help each other as we go through this transition? Because you got to transition from this just-in-time everything into local self-sustainability, and that doesn't happen overnight. This just-in-time everything didn't happen overnight, but we cannot have a few people holding the puppet strings of the food industry. We can't have it. We can't have it as human beings on this planet, that a few people, a few families control everything. We've got to move forward with self-sufficiency, and power is very important, you know, electricity. So, you know, having a solar generator, you say, oh, I can't, well, pitch in, get a neighbor, you know, like when we had a hurricane in Florida, when we lived down in Plantation Acres, we had a hurricane down there, and I had a generator. It was gas powered then, but you know what? You seen a extension cord running across the street to the neighbor's house, powering their refrigerator and a fan for them, while we were powering our refrigerator and a fan for us. Remember, you're not going to be able to power air conditioning. I mean, these air conditioners eat like a lot of power very quickly, but you can get some of these generators to make sure that you're powering your cell phone, you're powering, you know, something. Make sure you have something to cook with, you know, whether it's gas grill or you know, electrical grill that you're going to plug in. I like solar. Solar is very good. There's solar cookers out there. There's all that. I think we're going to have sun, so you can utilize solar energy, but make sure that you put your plan in place. And if you don't have the finances, first of all, don't say that you never have them. You know, pray and give thanks for them, and then, you know, you can work with people. You know, get back with family members in your family. I mean, I think everybody is open to have a conversation about what's going on with the supply chain problems, and, you know, coming together to put a plan together to help each other make it through whatever transition we're going to go through to get to the other side of something much better than we have today. What's your thoughts about that, Brother Rasaji?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the bottom line of it is take care of necessity and do the right thing for your parents, I mean, and your family. So think about what that window is that you're in agreement. Pray about it. Take it in meditation. Speak to the Heavenly Father, the Holy Spirit about it, and then take care of that. Now, once that's taken care of, what are you going to do when it's over? Because you don't know that it's coming tomorrow or next year or 5 years from now. I can assure you we're going to see some challenges in the next 5 to 10 years that people haven't seen since the 20s to the 1940s in this country. So if you have enough family, or if you're not old enough, but you know the stories of the 1920s and the 1940s, they're coming back, but they're going to be isolated.
Yeah, not everybody was doing bad, Brother Rasaji, right? In that period of time.
That's what I was going to say. You'll be amazed at one state. Go back to the 30-20 thing I talked about earlier. You could be amazed that this state will feel like you're still in a G10 country, but you can go to the next state and you'll think you're in third world. That's what's getting ready out. I don't know how to polarize it any more than that. Now, why do I know that's coming? You got to understand, what most things that happen in 4D, they either got to get rooted out or they will eventually do what? Manifest in 3D. The dark side would love to have 4D manifest and 3D. That's the reason for CERN. That's the whole game behind CERN, right? So, but you have to understand, it doesn't have to manifest in your life. So as you get more solution oriented and you realize there's always opportunities spiritually, emotionally, and physically. There's always opportunities. And as you learn to vibrate higher, people show up in your life with the pieces of puzzle in your life that you need to complete your puzzle.
Yes.
And the column exercise will give you that we have people do anywhere from about 3 to 6 times a year, because we're kind of running toward the end of this yang cycle. We've only got a couple more weeks in this double yang cycle for the summer. And then guess what? We're a little around Labor Day, a little before, we're going to start, but no, we're going to go back into the next yin cycle. And that means everything shifts again. Everything. So listen to what they say, right? Here's the example. You know, if you're in Lake Tahoe, you can be down on the ground and it's 75 to 85 degrees. But you jump in a car and go to the mountains in Tahoe, and the temperature can change 40 to 50 degrees. Now, my whole point is, you might have been in a bathing suit before you hit the mountain. You better have taken an overcoat when you get up there. That's the way I want you to look at that. Get your overcoat ready. It's probably a 4 to 12 week cycle at its extreme peak. Be ready for that. Now put your mind and your resources into how can I better my life and my family's life, and how can we win? I did a daily Lama today. It's going to come out, I think, Monday. And at the very end of it, this is what I want you to get from that daily Lama. You guys are going to get it early. I said, don't whine and don't worry. I want you to take those W's and turn them into one big W called win. So take your whining and your worrying. And if you know anybody that's like that, tell them, quit whining and quit worrying and turn those 2 little W's into one big W, win. We want you guys to win, and we want you to win big. And with COL and Mastermind, you can win really, really big. Back to you, brother.
And you know what we're doing over at My Patriots Network with Sheriff Mack and the CSPOA, and you know, going through the training with that. I mean, there's fruits of the labor all over here. So join, you know, those things and get involved in them and help us build a new world here. You know, let's move together, not arguing and fighting over names and nonsense. You know, focusing on what's better for all humanity. Right, for all the people with God's DNA, even though we got people with no DNA, you know, with not God's DNA here on this planet. Brother Rasaji, there's a question here. We're answering questions here for about the next 5 minutes, and then we're going to end this with a prayer. We're going to close it at 90 minutes because we love you all with all our heart, but we got a lot going on for you, for everybody. We're working on stuff. So somebody's asking, you know, what is the timeline in these phases that the Lamasery thinks? You know, we got, you know, this first timeline that we're in, these 3 phases. What do you feel the timelines are, you know?
They're going to hear more about this. I'll make sure everybody, if you're not a free member of the email list, do it because you're going to hear the latest from Lama.
Okay.
And remember, there's already 18 updates that'll blow your mind, but you get the skinny uncut. I think we're in the last 6 months of the first phase, according to the Lamasery. I think at Christmas time, going into Christmas, we're there. Then it looks like the second phase is probably more like a 12 to 36 month period, Jimmie. That's going to be phase 2. It's going to be a little longer, and it's going to go a little deeper. A little longer for the people who are just measuring outside. And I thank Tommy George for saying this nice response. He said he heard the Daily Lama on the light in the darkness.
There you go.
Yeah, and I thank you for that, Tommy, because it's a great Daily Lama about seeing the world half full or half empty. Tammy, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, now I would now ask everybody that's involved in Circle of Life or the 45-day challenge or the private membership or the advanced training, and soon something exciting is going to be getting announced tomorrow, but unfortunately not everybody will qualify to be in there. But the Lama and the Patriot are not slowing down. We're speeding up. We got the wind at our back. We got Abba at our back. We got him with his hand of protection upon us and his legions of angels around us. All of you do. You got to ask. We also got to dispatch the angels of, the warring angels, the angels of provision to help the people of the Creator. The warring angels to fight and destroy these evil forces, right? You have a lot of power. Remember, watch what you say. You're creating your own reality with your words. Life and death is in the tongue, and you shall eat the fruit of it. Life and death is in that, and you shall eat the fruit of it. Make sure that you're speaking positivity about yourself. Make sure that you're speaking positivity about others. If you can't speak positivity about someone, maybe you need to look at it and not be around them, okay? Make sure you start building that inner circle of family and friends and loved ones and start planning together how you're going to support each other going through this transition. Remember, Abba, the Creator, will always provide. And in the Great Depression, not everyone was in the soup lines, okay? Not the entire population was in the soup lines, okay? So you are not going to be in the soup lines. You're going to be the light in the darkness. And when people see you shining and prospering and being a servant, a good steward of the greatest wealth transfer in the history of this planet, you are going to be a shining light. You are going to be a hope to these folks, okay? Lots of people are going to want to know what is going on. This is the best time we've ever had on this planet to lead people into the light with God and his Son and his Spirit to do his thing. We are the Creator's warriors. I had this conversation this morning, and then, we're going to answer some questions, and then we'll have our brother Lama, intercede for us all with the Heavenly Father and his Son. And we're going to, we got to declare and decree things, man. We have power. We have dominion over this planet. But I was talking earlier this morning about, one of our partners who we love tremendously. He's more of a monk. He's more of a passive individual. And we had this conversation this morning. And I said to him what the Holy Spirit and Abba has been telling me. He doesn't want his people sitting on the bench no more. He wants his people in it. He wants his people focused on the solutions. He wants his people being the shining lights. He wants his people to be prepared for the greatest harvest of souls that this world's ever seen and the greatest wealth transfer from the wicked to the righteous this world's ever seen. Is it going to be a cakewalk? No. But all of you can get on the other side of this better, bigger, and stronger than you've ever been in your entire life and on the destiny that you were created for, on the path to the destiny you're created for, with financial freedom. If you haven't claimed your free mastermindwebinars.com membership, do it. What does it cost you? Your email address? If you haven't became a member of Circle of Life at Rasaji.com, the free community, and absorbed all that training, do it. Do it. You have nothing to lose. You have everything to gain. Go look at the testimonials. Go look at some of the comments, the people that are doing these 45-day challenge. I mean, look at this from Sister Linda. Just started my 5th 45-day challenge. I'm so grateful I have this support system and connection to God. Blessings to the Lama and Jimmie. And remember, we love you. We appreciate your blessings, and we want your prayers and blessings. Please, we are generals in God's army, okay? but you also can be generals in God's army, and you need to be. We're going to get some more print on demand stuff going on Rasaji.com, where step into your power. You know, we're going to have some really cool stuff. So people, when you're walking down the street and they see it, they're going to be wondering, because believe me, when I'm telling you, between the deaths that are going to happen for what's been going on for the last 48 months, and then all of this other stuff that's going on, and the people that won't prepare themselves, they won't be in the know, they won't know what's going on. You know, these people that make a lot of this wealth, they know what's going on. They know they know the past history. They know what's going on. That's why you see a lot of these real estate people right now, they're holding back. They're waiting things for collapse. They're going to get bargain deals going on. Okay. There's a lot of things that we're going to keep you updated on, because we're staying on top of the now. And we got the Lamasery, and we got the Sage of the South, and we got the discernment through the Holy Spirit. Okay. So we're here to help you. We're here to help you not just survive in these times, but to thrive. Utilize the resources that we have created for free. And then if you want to tithe and help us with the mission, then, you know, join these memberships for less than $1 a day. You can join both of them, the private membership, Mastermind webinars, and Rasaji.com at Circle of Life. One of them is less than 50 cents a day. And what you get for that is amazing. Okay. What you get for that is amazing. What you get for free is amazing. We want to help you. Okay. We want to help you. So what kind of questions do we have here before we wrap this up with the prayer? Let me see. I just did 2 straight days of painting. Normally my back and body would be aching. I have no pain despite painting for about 20 hours over the past few days. I'm 54 and feel better than 30 years. This is from Brother Brent. And he's been with us with Tai Chi Gun Circle of Life for a while now, right, Brother Brent? He says TCG, Tai Chi Gun, is the reason I have no pain in my body. And we're very excited about that. We feel very blessed to be involved with all these great testimonials that are happening. But again, this is Abba's thing, not Rasaji and Jimmie's thing. We are his stewards. We are his servants. We're doing his will. We're doing his purpose. We're not going to go around bashing everybody else. We're looking to get people together, to work together, to declare and decree, dispatch the angels of heaven, to declare and decree the victory, to know it, believe it as truth, have faith, and come out again on the other side of this thing better than we've ever been, and following the path that's been laid out for us by the Creator to complete the destiny. Can I hear an amen? Who wants to be here and complete their destiny? Who wants to do the destiny that the Creator has created them for? Let me know if you want to do that. Let the Lama and the Patriot know if you want to do that. And we're going to go ahead now. Brother Lama, you know, your prayers are so powerful. Pray for our brothers and sisters today all around the world that are watching this live and watching this recording.
Thank you, God, for bringing us together in your light and your love, with you and your Holy Son and the Spirit of you that surrounds us all. We know that with you, everything is greater than. There's no shortage on the planet. There's no shortage in our country, and there is no shortage in the households that are listening to this message, because as we speak, we know the angels are sending your abundance to them, abundance of food, abundance of water. We declare and decree that every household in America and all over the world is full of the abundance of food, water, drink, financial resources, that you're creating new prosperity through them. You're creating new wealth, literally out of the heavens. You're transferring from the wicked to the wise, the greatest wealth transfer since you put King Solomon on the planet. We are happy that you're changing our hearts to make us worthy to be the servants of you and to be the soldiers of Christ and to walk forward and to do your bidding. We're here on the earth to do what you ask us to do and lead all children in this kingdom back to you in the arms of your love and of your compassion. And we give all praise to you and your eternal Son. Amen.
We love you, brothers and sisters. Have a wonderful and blessed day. Keep us in your prayers. We have you in ours. Love you very much. We'll see you the next time. Take care.